see how that goes.
Perfect. Looks like it's recording. Nice studio, mate.
Sweet. Oh, this is the home studio. Yeah, it's looking. It's fun. That does the trick. Yeah.
Nice one, man. Well, it's good to see you. I was wondering whether I should have shaved for this, but then I don't worry about it, so we're all good.
Nah, yeah, geez, me neither. We're on lockdown. It's the one chance we get to grow out a little bit, eh?
Exactly. Nice one.
Yeah,
Cool.
good, man. Cool. So
I think the last time I saw your face was when I was doing my my instructors for my jet ski license.
Yeah, it was probably around about then. That was what?
Somewhere around then.
4 years ago? Yeah, it was a while ago.
Something like that, yeah. I think so. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. And since then, man, geez, can only congratulate you over and over again, even in our other chats. But
thank you.
How your success online and what you've created is incredible, man. Lots of hard work paying off.
Yeah, it's been fun. I always wanted to make videos. I always started to creating, and then you think, that's the funny thing about creating content is people often don't know what to create content about, and then you realize how much we take for granted, like every day, especially as yachties. Especially as yachties.
Exactly.
Once you're out there and you look around, you look at all these different places, and you're like, yeah, another place, another day, another different place to go out and have a drink at, and then you start to realize, like, oh my gosh, like this is actually some person's dream,
Exactly. Yeah, the things that you experience on the yachts, it's definitely something you got to document and create. Yeah. And what you've done, what I see a lot of is you opening up that vision to other people, like in a massive way,
For sure. Yeah, I think my hardest struggle has been to show what it's really like from both aspects, to show the hard work as well as the good times, because we as yachties usually only show the good times.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's been a tough one to kind of document the whole process of the daily grind, But I figured that's the one that was mean the most to people of actually seeing what it was like.
And you did it in a good way. You did it in such a positive way, which is good, like the industry and the season can definitely weigh down. And
for sure.
You show the strength through it all. So it's good, man. Really.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's a little bit of, I've actually just made a video about that about 20 minutes ago. It's funny you said that now, because I am a positive person and I like to show the positive aspect, and that generally is what makes people want to go out and do it. But there are days, and you will have experienced them as yacht crew as well, where you just don't want to get up and clean another surface, or you don't want to get up and and just attend to guest needs again. And those days happen. And that entire video I made now was showcasing the good and the bad side, and just talking about both aspects of it, because cloudy down days are real. We all have them.
Yeah.
And every yachty that might be watching this is going to have those days, and it's going to be up to their attitude and the people that's around them that's going to get them through the day.
Absolutely.
So I wish I could have showed a little bit more of those down days, but unfortunately, I've got a boat to represent. I wasn't always able to showcase the fact that I just didn't want to do anything that day. I had to, I wouldn't say play the part. I never played the part. I only filmed when I wanted to and when I was like ecstatic and keen to do it. But, I would have liked to have filmed a few days where I'm just like, I actually don't really feel like doing this today, because those days are going to happen for everyone.
Yeah, totally. That's one thing that I always try to get across in the training as well, is making very, very clear, making very sure and clear that yes, we get all these pros and these advantages and experiences and culture and the loot and all that sort of stuff. But the one thing it is one of the most difficult things you'll ever do is your first busy season. It is like one of the hardest challenges.
Sure.
And I always give the advice of, you're going to wake up and not want to do it. You're going to want to wake up, or you're going to wake up and probably want to quit or give up, or think that, you're over it, or the small things start to get to you. And I always say, just try and get to your bed that night. Quit tomorrow. Just get to your bed.
For sure.
To your cabin tonight. Can you do that shift? Yeah. Cool. And then if you want to quit tomorrow, quit tomorrow. Yeah. And then the next morning, wake up. Can you make it back to your bed again? Yeah. And just keep going one day at a time. Don't think about the end of the last charter. Don't think about the end of season. Just get through it. Yeah.
That's the thing with yachting, is it's difficult to foresee like a final day, if you know what I mean. It's difficult to understand like when that outcome is going to happen. We always set these targets for ourselves, like, the end of summer is then, or our last charter is then. That changes all the time. There's no such thing as a plan in yachting. So there's only benchmarks that you self-set for days that are going to get you through those tough periods, exactly like what you just said.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. Totally. But yeah, once again, really well done on what you've created so far, and looking forward to what's coming next. Now that you're moving on to a little bit of freelance, I'm sure.
Yeah, haven't spoken about that too much, but it'll be probably out by the time you release this. Yeah.
Okay, great. Nice. Yeah. So yeah, I've been fired with a couple of questions, and then that's actually why I touch base with you, is just because the way that you viewed to all the students that come through the school through SYSA is I thought it would be a really nice thing to do, to be sending out video tutorials, and to add on to that just a quick little chat with you with regards to obviously the current situation that we're in with the world on lockdown, and how that's going to represent in the yachting industry. And yeah, I rallied up a couple of questions just from the instructors and from Jay, and yeah, I think we can just give them a point of view from somebody that they trust, another person.
Yeah, sure, of course. I'm happy to.
Thanks, and yeah, thanks for making the time. So the ultimate question that I think everybody's on about now is the timing of it, and that's not only in yachting, but just the industry, in the current state of the industry, and what sort of recovery time do you see going from now, being almost mid-April?
I think just before you get onto the recovery time, a lot of people that are going into the yachting industry they're hustlers. Like, they're people that want to go out there and they want to make things happen. And they go in, we all tell them that it's up to them and their attitude. And a lot of that is 100% true. It is up to you as to how much you're going to do that day that's going to produce a result. And so when you're going into the yachting industry, you're constantly thinking like that. And out of nowhere, this thing comes that you have no control over. It's not just you. You can't do anything about this. The world is on lockdown. You can't fly out, So for the first time, like now, all of us, including myself, are having to take a step back and realize that this is the one thing that we just simply cannot do anything about. And we have to wait it out and let people in a higher hierarchy than what we are make decisions that allow us to carry on with our lives. So I think firstly, you've got to just think about the fact that you've got additional time, and what are you going to do with that additional time that's going to make you that much better for when you do go back into yachting. And that's something that we can talk about, but there's a lot of additional skills that you can acquire, not just yachting related, but that make you a better decky. Carpentry experience, looking into different types of engines, like troubleshooting on engines if you're going the engineering route, flower arranging courses, online stuff that the girls can do. There's a lot of things that we can do that just build up our arsenal and our kits a bit better, so that it wasn't a complete waste of time. There's no reason for people to be sitting at home watching Netflix when there's so much opportunity to learn a bit more before you go over. So that would be my first thing. When it comes to timing, there are already boats, and this is just, this is not a downer, this is real. Monaco Grand Prix is cancelled. Miba boat show is cancelled. A lot of these boat shows are over and done with. They are not carrying on with Cannes Film Festivals. There's a lot of things like that once again, we cannot do anything about. And those events that usually create day work, which is the reason that a lot of us crew go over to the Med, are no longer there. It is now a matter of security and health for the guests. And so bringing crew on board to do jobs is not something that is a boat's priority at the moment. Safety and health is a priority. Another thing you simply cannot do anything about. So, with regards to timing, a lot of crew, and I've just heard this morning of an entire crew pretty much being let go in the Med, being sent home, given 30 days notice, because there's the summer's cancelled. The owner himself on that boat has cancelled the summer. Does that mean that there's not opportunities in the Med? No, never. Because even when there's a Caribbean season, there's still work in the Med. There's still people that have to do jobs. There's still boats that need to, that need assistance to get maintenance done. Wherever there's a boat in the water, maintenance has to be done. There's now going to be less people that are looking for those jobs, meaning that if you happen to be there, there might still be equally as much opportunity for you because there's less people looking. So, a lot of people go, Jared, well, where do I go? Do I go to Antibes or do I go to Palma? It's the same thing. There's maybe more job opportunities in Antibes, but there's more people looking. So less opportunities sometimes for more powerboats in Palma, but less people looking. And it's just one of those same things, you give and take everywhere. So,
absolutely.
With regards to timing, I think the Med summer is not going to be normal this year whatsoever. It's going to be a form of maintenance, and there's might be a couple crew where they're on sick leave or they're on rotation and they need filling in from crew that have left. Those are going to be the types of jobs that are available. And should you make the decision to go over there to look for those jobs all the way through, because usually you arrive in April, you look for a job, come June, the season's kicking off, June all the way through until October, the season's midway, maybe crew that have been let go, or crew that have quit get filled in with new crew. That's usually the type of jobs that happen once the summer kicks off. In this case, I don't see that happening. I see boats being needing maintenance, boats needing more crew turnover after having let people go. So now it's not going to just be those odds and ends jobs. I think it's going to be like what it would normally be April to May, now just from a maintenance period or a yard period all the way throughout the summer coming up. And I think if you're going to risk it and jump on a plane and go out there because that's what you've set yourself up to do this year, I still think you might be able to find work once it comes to a halt and we're able to leave and the pandemic has been sort of dropped slightly in numbers. But until then, there currently at this moment is really very little of a med summer.
Yeah. And I mean, that's across the whole board, like with every single industry other than the essentials and
Correct.
so on. But within the instructors, we discussed
time of ending. You asked about it ending. You asked about it ending. I think you consider a Caribbean winter as the next yachting kickoff date. People are going to start looking at the boat shows. If they didn't make it to the ones in May, they're going to start considering what's that island where they do the charter show as well, Antigua charter show,
St. Martin,
things like that.
St.
Martin. Those are going to be maybe the next one. Is it going to be a busier summer or winter for them during that period? I'm not sure either. It's going to depend at the time. It's just something you can't foresee.
Yeah. Just coming back to the med, because one of the things I wanted to discuss is we blending into it beautifully is that the between the two different seasons and what's gonna which one is better to go at which time of the year and so on. But the same advice that we've also discussed within the school is what you were saying, that there's going to be this unusual turnaround and gap in the employment with regards to rotation, and when the borders do open up and crew that are on board that are still safely employed are definitely going to find there's going to be some relief for them to go home to family, to travel again. Rotation cycles are going to filter through, and I do see that there will be maybe not full seasonal contracts, they're not out on charter, but there will be sort of extended day work for or moving on board, staying on for a month, covering for a deckhand who needs to fly back somewhere to home to come back in. So I'm glad that you definitely agree with that by the sounds of things.
Definitely. There's also, the difficulty that some of the new guys are going to have to deal with. And once again, it's not a downer, it's just real. There's going to be a lot of experienced crew that are going to be looking as well, because obviously they've either been let go or, they've left to come home to family. But on the other end of the spectrum, my captain was telling me about so many crew that are just like very experienced crew that have just decided this is it. This was their last bit of the yachting ticket, because they've come to realize that family is important and life on ashore is important to them. And so some people are not even going back into yachting, which leaves once again another opportunity for more crew to find work. And obviously, absolutely, as the boat every year, there's still boats from Fairship and Lursen and Aberking and all meters that are getting launched, and those will need 30, 40, 50 crew each. So I'm not going to be a downer and say that there's not going to be work from you guys. There's always going to be something. There's always something.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. Do you? I suppose we did talk about, or we were sort of leaning into the Caribbean season and Florida, etc. But again, I guess there's no real way of saying that, because that's one of the questions that I deal with on a daily basis is, okay, I was going to the Med. Do you think we should rather be looking at B1, B2 and going to Florida? And as much as that is basically, I'm wondering if you agree with this, is as much as that in one breath, that is a smart and clever approach and maybe a safer approach or something to do, but then so does that leave space for the people that want to take the risk, let's say, of going to the Med and trying to find work there. Do you agree that at the moment, choosing which part of the world to go and set off on this adventure is kind of down the middle with regards to whichever you envisage as being what you want to follow?
Yeah, I think it's the natural way that new crew are going to think. If the Med summer's over, I'm going to the Caribbean. There's no other option. You know, that's what the next step is. But of course, everybody is thinking that way. So the same rush that you get to the Med, you're going to get the same rush that goes to the Caribbean and to Florida. Florida has its difficulties. There's a higher restriction on dock walking than what crew tend to find in the Med. So then, you know, people go, Jared, if I can't dock walk in the Caribbean or in Florida, then how do I get a job? You know, dock walking is not how you get a job. It's the networking that's done through dock walking that gets you the job. So then you've got to realize and put that in perspective and realize, okay, well, it's the networking that you're going to do there. It's the places where they've got a lot more crew events that take place in the Caribbean and in Florida. There's a lot more of like, what do you call them? Like get-togethers where crew will like go out and meet up and have drinks, and companies throw like big crew get-togethers for exactly those reasons. So you're going to be a little bit more creative and networking worthy of trying to get those contacts than what you are in the Med, where you can just walk up to a boat, you know?
Exactly.
So that's going to come with a difficulty. And I know of guys that have spent months looking for jobs in Florida just because of that difficulty of not being able to walk up to the front door of a boat. So now you've got an influx of people in one space. It's going to be tough, which is why some people go to the actual Caribbean. They go to St. Martin, you know, and it's a little bit more relaxed there. If you've been there before.
Yeah.
To thin out the crowd. But the same thing applies. There's, you know, when everybody goes to the Caribbean winter, and there's still some people, and I've arrived at the end of my summer in the Med where some people, local Europeans, are arriving and they're like, hey man, we just arrived looking for work. I was like, guys, the summer's over. And then it only kind of dawned on me that like that was the first person that walked up to me in almost 3 weeks, because there's nobody else around. So when there is a job available, it's theirs.
Yes.
It's not going to matter where you go. It's going to matter what your strategy is and how you plan on attacking each one of those situations, depending on whether you're going to the Caribbean.
There we go. That's well summed up there. That's a really good way of putting it. It's down to your strategy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's and the hustle. You know, I still go to the Med and there's wake up and do a morning wake and bake before going to look for a job, or they don't even bother looking for a job. And it just blows my mind. Like, so yes, you've got 15,000 people rushing to the place, but how many of those people are waking up in the morning, bright and early, sparked up at 6:30 on the docks, walking, doing that for 4 hours, jumping on Facebook, you know, sending out emails and messages, going to see career agents, starting the next day and doing that over and over again for 14 days? I don't know how many people there are doing that. And the ones that are doing it are certainly making it work. The ones that are sitting there thinking that this is going to come to them are very, very mistaken. So once again, people should never worry about competition. You should only ever worry about what it is that you're doing to get yourself in front of that potential employer. Don't worry about how many people are going to different places. It makes no difference if you're better.
Yeah. It's more about who you are as a person to get in front 100%. Of that meeting.
Your willingness and your eagerness and your positivity and your attitude. And those are the things that are going to get you the job, not whether you're there or not.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind going back a little bit here to when you did suggest a couple of being resourceful in the time that they have now. That's another question that I get quite a lot of is what other courses are there to do? So carpentry does come up quite a lot, and you mentioned that as well. Language, you know, is it worthwhile maybe taking on the basic language course? And you mentioned flower arranging and all sorts of other things. Is there anything else that comes into your mind on how? What I'm actually getting at here is them using their time wisely to really hone and get their CV and their online networking going at full pace. They've got all the time in the world to do that now. Is there any other avenue they could be exhausting while they have this time on lockdown?
Yeah. Look, you don't have to know how to build a cupboard. That's not what I mean by carpentry. You're not going to be tearing apart cupboards and rebuilding the interior of yachts. That's not what it is. But basic understanding, like if somebody hands you a drill and a drill bit, do you know how to put it together? I know that sounds ridiculous. But, you know, there are people that don't. So basic really basic situations of understanding sanding and maybe learning how to varnish, or watching one online tutorial so that you understand it's about the mixture and it's about the temperature and it's this and that. And, it's just little things that if people just picked up on, that once they get there, it's just going to be a lot easier than trying to explain those types of things, So how to get dents out of teak, people don't realize that we iron them out with a hot iron and water. There's little things like that would just be a really good basic bit of knowledge. And I'm going to try and elaborate and make small videos like that as much as possible with guys like you, that have got the knowledge as well.
Yeah.
Whether the qualifications are open now, but things like diving, if you can get your some of your diving qualifications to something like an advanced or a rescue diver. Rescue diver, you're now an asset to the vessel. Anything higher than that, obviously, you're more of an asset. But if you can obtain dive qualifications, great. If there's something like, I'm going to say this is really ridiculous, but if there's a musician that is going into yachting, if he can put together a set list where he might be able to actually play some guitar on the back deck while the guests are eating dinner, he's now a secondary asset to that boat. If you understand what I mean. Absolutely. Do you know how to edit and put together a video for charter purposes?
Yeah.
Once you're on there, maybe they're going to need a decky to take all the video clips of the trip and put it all together. Learn how to do that.
Yeah.
There's a few things that you can be doing. If you're a masseuse or if you're a stewardess, and you could further yourself in some like self-care therapy stuff, that's also great. Yoga, as well as hairdressers, obviously those are vital on board, not always for the guests but for the crew. So people have to start thinking a little bit more outside the box, and just realizing that those additional skills are now the things that are going to get you just that much further of an opportunity at a job.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are great examples just of getting out of the box and see what other,
and there's more. We could run a million different ideas of thinking, but it's things that people are taking for granted. Yeah, of course I can play guitar. I'm not going to play in front of a billionaire. Well, you never know, because we've gone and spent thousands of dollars on some horrendous musicians that come on board, and it's a joke, But if there was the opportunity to plug in a decky that could just plug a nice riff in the background, I'm telling you now, that would have already happened on Arians, So it's an interesting one. It's things that you take for granted.
Yeah, true. You never know. Hey, yeah, those are cool. I think that really opens up the mind as well for them to start thinking on their own of what they can do. A lot of the time with the courses that some of the students have told me, like, I'm currently doing this, I'm currently doing that. Like, do you think that's a waste of time? I always respond with, no, nothing's a waste of time. If if you're studying up something, maybe it's for, a couple of the examples were for when students that are studying now, and they're studying something for once they forecasting their, like 2-3 years from now, when they've done their travel and they've, hopefully, or aiming to have some savings and what they're going to do with that. So they're studying a little bit of management from that side of thing.
Yeah.
You agree with that as well, to sort of get their financial savvy and international markets and stuff like that up to speed. Also not a bad idea to look at that. Do you agree?
For sure. I mean, financial and business side of things is never going to not be in your advantage in future. Once you've built up your money, the one thing that yacht crew do not know how to do is know what to do with the money that they've made. A lot of people have no bloody clue. Yeah. If, like you said, there's nothing you could ever learn that is going to be wasted. If you're wondering whether you should continue your degree, that's not really something that you and I are supposed to be able to tell them. But it's up to them. If they don't think that they're going to go into it and they want to move, then move on. It's your decision, It's one of those things. But furthering education from a financial standpoint, for sure. You're going to start thinking about it anyway once you're over there and you've made some cash. So
But Jared, I really appreciate it once more, man. And I think that's really going to help the guys that are, on our books at the moment, that are feeling a little bit lost, for sure. There's a lot of people that are.
Well, let everyone know as soon as this virus war ends, I'll be up in Cape Town and we'll do a nice big get together of everybody who can attend. As long as they're not coughing and sneezing, then that'll be great. Then everybody's welcome. And then we'll do a big get together and a catch up, and we can just answer any questions right then and there as well. I know you're more than capable of answering any of these questions you just asked me anyway, but it's always nice to get a second opinion.
Absolutely, man. It's nice to just get it from your point of view, and reassure that the direction and everything that we are thinking and that everybody is hoping for. It's just nice to hear it from somebody like yourself. And yeah, man. Take it easy.
This will come to an end. It will come to an end, and it will go back to normal to some degree. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Absolutely. Hey, hang tight, stay patient, stay healthy. That's it. Yeah. That's all we got to do.
Perfect. All right, Lance. Well, happy days, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
What a pleasure, mate. And we'll catch up again soon.
Okay. Cheers, Lance.
Cheers. Ciao.